Hey guys, it's been a couple weeks since my last video, and during that time I've been hard at work on Deckmate, and I'm happy to say that it's playable. I've been testing it with my friends to iron out any obvious bugs and to work on balancing the game. Here's how that's been going. I had a better plan. I don't know what my plan was.
Okay, how do I know I'm select? I can't. I have to.
You're
hologram, right?
Yes, yeah, your bishop can't move. Okay, good. I was only like 75% sure that wasn't bugged, so that's good.
Bad game.
True. Wait, what? Why? What? Pieces can move backwards, you know.
Oh.
And let me tell you, there was plenty of balancing to be done. For starters, I realized that my decision to allow the king to move into check was problematic. It made the queen an extremely weak attacking piece. For example, in a standard queen mating attack, the player could choose to sacrifice only 3 king health in exchange for an entire queen. To address this issue, I've made it so that the king can no longer move into check even if the threat doesn't deal enough damage to capture it. I also fleshed out the shop system a little bit. Now, instead of randomly drawing 1 card per turn, it will draw 4 new cards every 5 turns. This keeps the shop from getting clogged with cards that aren't useful at the time, and also makes the first 5 moves just standard chess, so opening knowledge will be useful to some degree. Another problem I found was that shields cost way too little. I thought that they wouldn't be as strong as they turned out to be, but unsurprisingly, forcing the opponent to waste a move just to destroy a shield turned your piece into a very strong attacker. I've adjusted the cost of both shield cards, and I'll see how that goes. While playing the game, I realized that I may have made the rest of the cards cost too much. Maybe we were just so used to playing normal chess that we forgot to use the cards, which definitely happened to some extent, but overall, it just felt like there weren't a lot of cards being played. So, I've lowered the price of every card except for the hologram, which stayed the same. In addition to balancing, I've been putting a little bit of work into the general feel of the game. I'm starting to flesh out the UI a bit, and I'm starting to add some sound effects that I got off the Unity asset store. I've also finally been working on some non-temporary card art using 3D renders in Photoshop. The 2 that I've done so far are Duck and Hologram. I've also added a new card. I don't have any art for it yet, but it's called the Warp. The Warp allows you to teleport a rook, bishop, or knight by capturing any of your own pawns. In the near future, I have 2 ideas for cards that I'd like to implement. The first one is called Ceasefire. This will essentially just be a rift that splits the board the other way. The second card will be part of a new category of cards. Since I would like the king to be an important part of the game, I would like there to be cards that get cast by the king and can only be cast within a certain range of the king. The first of these cards will be a Fireball. This card will either deal damage to or completely destroy a shield. I've also added castling and a clock to the game. For the clock, I wanted to avoid time scrambles since there's a lot more going on in Deckmate than standard chess. So I went for a time bank approach. The players will have a set amount of time to make each move, use it or lose it, and then a time bank that starts running when your timer runs out. And that's all of the major stuff I've added over the past 2 weeks. I also want to talk a little bit about additional features I've thought about adding or changing, and some ideas that you guys have given me in the comments. BFox gave a few ideas, but I'd love to touch on one specifically, that being fairy chess pieces. This is something that I've been thinking about, and if I can find a way to add it to the game without making it too complicated, I'd absolutely do it. I'd like to at least give players the option to use them, even if they aren't part of the default game. Another option I've been thinking about is piece cards, which would have a small chance to appear in the shop, and they would let you place a corresponding piece on your first 2 ranks. And this might include fairy pieces. Chase brought up the idea of being able to see your opponent's cards. This is definitely something I agree with, since standard chess is a perfect information game, and I'd like to stay as faithful to the feel of chess as I possibly can. This also leads to another good point, which is that being able to buy a card and immediately place it on the board is another point where players can get screwed over by a lack of information and bad RNG. I will 100% be making the opponent's hand visible, but some other things that I've been wanting to try to alleviate this are giving certain cards a cooldown that prevents you from playing them for a turn or 2 after buying them, as well as making your opponent's shop, and possibly even their next shop, visible to both players. King Duck brought up 4-player chess. This is 100% on my to-do list. I want 2-player to be in a stable state before I start putting work into it, but it will definitely happen. And finally, I don't want to mispronounce your username, but this commenter brought up monetization. All I want to say is that the game itself will be free to play. Beyond that, I actually want to have a product to deliver before I start asking or talking about money. And that's about it. Deckmate is getting very close to a point where I'm ready for people in the community to play it. I plan to run a closed beta through my Discord once it gets to this point, though I can't make any promises as to when this will happen or how many people I will let in. But if you want to stay in the loop, make sure you join my Discord, which I've linked in the description. I really do appreciate everyone's support. It's been awesome to finally show this off to people and get some really good feedback, and I just want to say thank you. Your guys' support means more than you could possibly know, and it motivates me to keep working. So with all that being said, thanks again for watching. Please leave a like and comment if you enjoyed the video and if you have any feedback. And that's all I have for now. See ya.